Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the retirement ceremony for Colonel Kato Martinez. Today, a grateful nation honors Colonel Martinez for 29 years of dedicated service to our country. The ceremony that you will witness is deeply rooted in military tradition. As fellow Air Force comrades are retired, we pause to recognize their contributions to the United States Air Force. Presiding over today's ceremony is the 21st Chief of Staff of the United States Air Force, General David L. Goldfein. I am Kiani Martinez, daughter of the honoree, and also serving as Master of Ceremonies for today's event. At this time, we would like to welcome Colonel Martinez's family. Please hold your applause until the final guest is introduced. His son, Kimo, and his daughters, Noelani and Kailani. His mother, Rosie Martinez. His grandmother, Petra Paz. His brother, Colonel David Cooper, United States Air Force, retired. His brother-in-law, Angelo Minglana. His wife, Tiffany, and their children, Riley and Nathan. His children's godfather, Colonel Eric Bierstrom, United States Air Force, retired, and his wife, Kathy. Viewing from Corpus Christi, Texas, his mother-in-law, Teofista Minglana, and his father-in-law, Angelito Minglana. From our military community, spouse of the presiding official, Mrs. Dawn Goldfein. The commander, Air Education and Training Command, Lieutenant General Brad Webb, and his wife, Donna. The executive director, Air Force Personnel Center, Ms. Kimberly Toney. We'd also like to extend a warm welcome to all other family, friends, commanders, chiefs, current and former co-workers attending either physically or viewing from afar. Posting the colors today is the Silver Eagles Armed Drill Team from John Jay High School. They are the reigning 7-time National High School Drill Team champions and members of the National Military Drill Hall of Fame. Today, they are commanded by Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Kimo Martinez. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party and remain standing for the posting of the colors, singing of the national anthem by Noelani and Kailani, and the invocation written by Chaplain Dennis de Guzman and delivered by Colonel Bierstrom.
Still there. Oh, Post. Grease head. Hard. Order. Hard. Ready. Step. Or time. Hard. Colors. Forward. Hard.
Please bow your heads. Almighty God, we thank you for this occasion, a chance to honor and salute an outstanding individual, Colonel Kato Martinez. We give you thanks for those gathered here and afar, the family, friends, and the teammates who served with him during these past 29 years. Kato and his wife Gail gave themselves fully and unselfishly to their nation, to God, and to the Air Force. We thank you, Lord, especially for Gail, who has been Kato's inspiration and love of his life. Gail's beautiful smile, her contagious laugh, her sage advice, and her bubbly personality carried Kato during bad times and good times throughout his career. Thank you, Lord, for their children, Kiani, Kimo, Noelani, and Kailani, who never failed to support and love their dad, even in the most difficult times. And now, Lord, as his time in uniform draws to a close, we ask your blessings upon him and his family. And may those who go on to serve our great nation continue to uphold high traditions, just as Kato and Gail did. With a grateful heart, after 29 years, Kato can turn his attention from his career to his wonderful children's careers. In God's name we pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Thank you, Noe and Kai, Chaplain de Guzman, and Colonel Bierstrom. General Goldfein, the floor is yours.
Come on up, guys. Okay, was that like the best national anthem and posting the colors we've ever seen? Well, good afternoon, or as those who hail from the great Republic of Texas say, howdy. And so thanks so much for joining us to celebrate the career of Kato and Gail and what they've meant to the Air Force and all of us for really so many years. So first, a few words about our retirement experience. On the 5th of August, Dawn and I will have been retired for 1 year since we made our way in our RV to our new home state here in Texas. And I was told by many folks that I should expect to go through a period of depression, that I would stare at the phone, waiting for someone to call and ask for my help, that I'd be lost without my personal team, tending to all of the details of life on our own. So let me give you a trip report. None of those predictions came true. We absolutely love it. We love everything about retirement. I have 2.5 acres of lawn that demands my daily care, a vegetable garden I created with some killer asparagus, and enough green beans and cherry tomatoes to feed a village. And in honor of Dawn's birthday, just over a month ago this week, I decided, like all retired fighter pilots, to try to get my new zero-turn riding mower airborne. And I was so close to perfection, right up until I flipped it on top of me and broke my back. And somehow, my 100-pound wife, love of my life, pushed a 600-pound mower off the top of me, and I'm proud to stand here today with some new hardware. Perhaps moving a little bit slower than usual, but with plans to recover stronger than ever before. And perhaps the best part, I have a very close personal relationship with my new lawn care team. So I gotta tell you, Kato, I never look at my cell phone other than to cruise Amazon Prime, because I'm not sure how they do it. But I've learned since retirement, they know exactly what I need to purchase on every single day. It's like magic. And Dawn has restricted me from going to my favorite store, Home Depot, more than 3 times a week. It's like the Magic Kingdom. And you know it's bad when you walk into the Bernie Home Depot and they yell, "Hey Dave, welcome back, how's that mower?" So for all the retirees in training here, especially Kato, there's absolutely nothing to fear. Life on the outside is just magical, and we could not be happier. So some time ago, I did a podcast with a colleague of mine, Rexon Ryu, who served as the Chief of Staff for Secretary Chuck Hagel. And he asked me what I'm most proud of looking back on my time as the 21st Chief. And I told him without hesitation, it's the team I left behind. Watching Chief Brown, General Webb, Donna, Kato, just crush it as the Air Force continues its acceleration to becoming the innovation engine of the Department of Defense. Is not only it's heartwarming, it's actually fun to watch. So I remain your loudest and your most enthusiastic cheerleader. So Kato, I was trying to think of a quote that might adequately describe what just shy of 3 decades in uniform means to all of us who serve. And it finally came to me last night as I was reflecting on the great speeches of Dr. Martin Luther King. Free at last, free at last. Thank God Almighty, I'm free at last. So Kato, thanks for the privilege of officiating at this ceremony. I've always considered it the highest honor to officiate at a promotion or a retirement of a fellow airman. And it's an honor to do this not only for an incredible leader, but also for a man that I admire and someone I'm proud to call a friend. So my job today is threefold. First, I want to try to capture as best I can a 29-year journey, beginning with a young boy born in the Philippines who enlisted as an Air Force medic, to a decorated special operator and combat communicator retiring today as a colonel who has made our world a better place for our kids and for our grandkids. Second, I want to highlight maybe a few key experiences in Kato's career that offer some insight into the lasting impact you've had not only on all of us, but our entire Air Force and the joint and allied teammates. And third, and perhaps most important, I want to slow the world down a little bit, Kato, for you and the kids and the family, so you can enjoy this moment. Because no matter how hard we try, there's no way to avoid the stress of planning an event like this. And so sometimes, everybody else is having a ball and you're exhausted. So take a deep breath, enjoy. There's nothing going on in the entire United States Air Force more important than what we're doing right here. To all of our guests, both here and virtually, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you all for being here and showing your support, and thanks to Kato and the kids. As we all know, family's forever. So I know it means a lot to Kato and the family that even though many family members and friends were unable to travel, they can still join with us today and celebrate virtually. So first, to Kato's mom, Rosie. Kato shared how incredible it was growing up as you served in peacekeeping operations around the world as a member of the United Nations. how he experienced his first firefight while visiting you in Lebanon at 12 years old, of how you never really discussed being held hostage in East Timor, and the thrill he had of meeting Kofi Annan and Boutros Ghali as a young man. So on behalf of all of us here, ma'am, thank you for your service and for your leadership. And to your grandmother, Petra, welcome, ma'am, and thank you for being the heart and soul of this family. And to Kato and Gail's pride and joy of the children, Kiani, your courage and perseverance are inspiring as you fought to earn an ROTC scholarship and now a position as in our newest service, the U.S. Space Force, as a cyber leader and a civilian. Kimo, Noelani, Kailani, I've listened to your dad walk me through every achievement, and I hear the immense pride in his voice as he describes your victories in the classroom, on the athletic fields, and in your growth as wonderful young adults. Kimo recently earned a coveted and highly competitive J100 four-year scholarship to study aeronautical engineering at the University of Texas. And Noelani and Kailani continue to excel as they pursue their passions. You know, growing up as military children, you don't receive enough thanks for your commitment to our nation. For those of us in uniform are volunteers, but our kids are drafted. So thank you for your support and your parents on this incredible journey. To Kato's remarkable bride and best friend, Gail, who we also celebrate and remember today. So Kato shared that he met Gail while attending UTSA at a pickup basketball game. She was standing at the water cooler and caught his eye. A little bit nervous, he walked over to her and, not knowing what to say, he asked her if she had the time. And she said, sure, but you could also just look at your watch. That produced a good laugh and a friendship that blossomed into a loving marriage that produced this incredible family. Kato also shared with me that Gail was passionate about architectural design and was over the moon when he told her they were going to Aviano, Italy, the heart and soul of so much historic architectural design. And so that brings us to the man of the hour, Kato. Now, I thought about going through his entire life and career, starting with, he was born at an early age. But for someone who came into the Air Force 30 years ago, I don't think we have that kind of time. So I just want to highlight a few of his unique experiences that add up to define his service and his impact on all of us. The journey began while attending college at the State University of New York. While driving one day and pondering his future, he asked God to give him a sign. And at the very next stop sign, there it was, an actual sign. Aim high, go Air Force. And at the very next intersection was a recruiting office. And Kato recalled and shared with me, he looked up and asked God, really? Is this what you're trying to tell me? So he went in just to get some information. And by the time he left, he'd signed the papers to enter as a medic. And the journey began. His first assignment was right here at Brooks Medical Center. And he continued his education to fulfill a promise he made to his mom, to finish his degree, attending school every night at San Antonio College. And one day he wandered into the ROTC office at UTSA and asked to join the program in order to commission as an officer. And Kato shared this was not met with great support by his chief, who asked him why in the world would he trade his new staff sergeant stripes for gold bars. But Kato was not turning back. He's going to do what he told his mom that he would do when he left home. So he went on to have an incredible career in the combat communications career field that included selection for elite special forces teams and a number of classified deployments. His career would have him moving back and forth between operational assignments with lots of deployments to staff positions that move joint readiness and joint warfighting forward. From leading research at what used to be Williams Air Force Base in Arizona, to advising the Philippine Air Force, given his ability to speak 6 languages fluently, to fulfilling his role as a foreign air officer at NATO headquarters. Kato was on the front lines of international engagement. He eventually commanded a combat comm squadron, a communications squadron in Guam, the only squadron of its type in the Pacific. And as a command team, he and Gail excelled at this duty, leading the squadron and spouses and families through countless deployments, presidential support, special operations missions, one of the most deployed units in our entire United States Air Force. And following the tragic attack that took Gail from her family and injured Kato and the kids, I got to know him and his family as we wrapped our arms around them to ensure they had all the love and support we could muster as an Air Force family. In my office as the chief, there were 2 things I saw every day that inspired me to give everything I had. One was a photo of Master Sergeant John Chapman on his last day on Earth, holding a small Afghan girl in his lap before he fought alone on a mountaintop, earning the Medal of Honor. And the other was a photo you shared with me of Kiani, Kimo, Noelani, and Kailani below the glass of my desk, smiling up at me. I saw it every day, reminding me of what true courage in the face of adversity really looks like, and of my obligation as chief to take care of those entrusted to us. So when it came time to choose somebody to lead our Gold Star Family Initiative, who better than a man who's experienced great love, great loss, and the courage to find hope and joy in his beautiful family and their future. Kato told me a number of times, I keep going for the kids and for Gail, because this is what she would have wanted. Kato, our Air Force is better today, more capable and more caring because of your and Gail's contributions and the impact you both have left on so many. So it's my honor and it's my privilege, on behalf of our very grateful nation, to inform you that after nearly 30 years of faithful service, you have completed your obligation to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, both foreign and domestic. That you have borne true faith and allegiance to the same, and that you have well and faithfully discharged your sacred duties. Dawn and I, along with the rest of your Air Force family, wish you clear skies and fair winds as you start your next chapter. May God continue to bless our great nation and those like Colonel Kato Martinez, who always have and always will stand to defend her. Congratulations.
Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the presentation of the Legion of Merit. Attention to orders. Citation to accompany the award of the Legion of Merit to Colonel Melchizedek T. Martinez. Colonel Melchizedek T. Martinez distinguished himself by exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding services to the United States while assigned to the Air Force Personnel Center, Joint Base San Antonio, Randolph, Texas, from 31 March 2018 to 24 July 2021. During this period, the exemplary diligence and devotion to duty of Colonel Martinez were instrumental in the Department of the Air Force's ability to connect the message of resilience and hope with thousands of airmen, guardians, and families around the world. relentlessly sharing his own story of strength, perseverance, and courage through personal tragedy. Colonel Martinez impacted the lives of untold numbers of people, both military and civilian. During the 2019 Resilience Tactical Pause, he led 24 sessions for approximately 5,000 military and civilian airmen, which resulted in 5 known saves from suicide. Additionally, Colonel Martinez shared his influential story through dozens of national media engagements and speaking events, which inspired millions. The Columbia Broadcasting System 60 Minutes episode, Aftermath, A Family's Recovery, chronicled Colonel Martinez and his children's journey and earned the 2018 News Emmy for Outstanding Feature Story in a Newscast. In addition to the impact of his own story, as chief of the Gold Star Family Program, Colonel Martinez led initiatives that connected more than 940 grieving Gold Star families with the Department of the Air Force family. These connections linked the surviving family members who experienced the loss of a loved one with Department of the Air Force support resources, fostering resilience, hope, and recovery. Colonel Martinez's contributions and personal resilience in the face of tremendous tragedy made a lasting impact across the Department of the Air Force and in communities across the nation. The singularly distinctive accomplishments of Colonel Martinez culminate a distinguished career in the service of his country and reflect great credit upon himself and the United States Air Force. Ladies and gentlemen, please remain standing for the reading of the retirement order. Attention to orders. Department of the Air Force, Washington, D.C., Special Order Number ADD-00134, Colonel Melchizedek Tupaz Martinez, Joint Base San Antonio, Randolph, Texas. Effective 25 July 2021, you are relieved from active duty, organization, and station of assignment. You are retired, effective 26 July 2021, per Air Force Instruction 36-3203, in the grade of Colonel, by order of the Secretary of the Air Force. Thank you. Please be seated. Colonel Martinez will now be presented with a certificate of retirement from the Armed Forces. The certificate reads, Certificate of Retirement from the Armed Forces of the United States of America. To all who shall see these, presents greeting. This is to certify that Colonel Melchizedek Tupaz Martinez, having served faithfully and honorably, is retired from the United States Air Force on the 25th day of July, 2021. Signed Major General Christopher E. Craig, Commander, Air Force Personnel Center, and General Charles Brown, Jr., Chief of Staff, United States Air Force. Colonel Martinez will receive a certificate of appreciation from the Commander-in-Chief once available. The certificate will read, I extend to you my personal thanks and the sincere appreciation of our grateful nation for your contribution of honorable service to our country. You have helped maintain the security of the nation during a critical time in its history, with a devotion to duty and a spirit of sacrifice, in keeping with the proud traditions of military service. I trust that in the coming years, you will maintain an active interest in the armed forces and the purpose for which you served. Those who follow in your footsteps will draw inspiration from your commitment, dedication, and sacrifices made to ensure the protection of our American freedoms. My best wishes to you for happiness and success in the future. Signed, Joseph R. Biden, Jr., Commander-in-Chief.
Every retiree receives a special retirement pin as a memento of their active duty service. At this time, Colonel Martinez's eldest daughter, Kiani, will now place a pin on his lapel to symbolize his transition from active duty to retired status. At this time, we would like to hold a moment of silence in honor of Colonel Martinez's late wife, Gail. On behalf of Mrs. Gail Martinez, Kiani will now receive her Mother's Certificate of Appreciation from the United States Air Force. The certificate reads, "In grateful appreciation, the United States Air Force presents this certificate of recognition to Mrs. Gail Martinez for her commitment and numerous contributions that made positive impacts to the nation's defense. Thank you for the support which gave strength and purpose to your spouse's service, given this 25th day of July, 2021. Kimo, Noelani, and Kailani, please come forward and join General Goldfein and your family on stage. Colonel Martinez's children will now receive military child medals in honor of their many sacrifices throughout their father's service. Their certificates read, "Throughout the years of your life, you have made sacrifices and you served our country as much as I have done. In your loving way, you quietly shouldered the heavy burden that you were asked to carry. Most of the time, you could not understand why I was not there, but you quietly hid the tears, courageously put on a smile, and defiantly promised that you would support me. You were then, as now, one of the most important parts of my life, and it was your love that enabled you to assure me that what I was doing was important. I missed so many holidays and countless special occasions while you were left at home to worry while I was on difficult missions. You had to say goodbye to friends when we moved throughout the years, and you had to change schools. Your resilience and self-confidence throughout those frequent moves gave me strength. I am proud of you, for it was your love and support that sustained me in those difficult times. There's no way in my mind that I could have been a success in the military without having your support, your understanding, and most importantly, your unquestionable love. Thank you for being there for me." Kiani will now receive the Military Spouse Medal on behalf of her mother, Gail. The certificate reads, "The spouse does not wear a uniform, yet they serve their country. They do not acquire nor wear ribbons showing where they have been, yet they go. They do not ask for the duty they perform, yet they unwaveringly serve to the best ability. They serve, yet are not honored with trinkets or pieces of cloth showing their service. The burning candle signifies the lonely nights you have spent and that you have kept the home fires burning. A symbol with no beginning and no end, the ring around the candle flame symbolizes the undying flame of love for your spouse. The image of a rose is for the unwavering devotion you have shown for your spouse and their service to their country. This medal is gratefully given to those that do not ask, those that stay on the home front so that their spouse can serve, for they also proudly serve their country. Always remembered, never forgotten. Thank you, General Goldfein and the Martinez family.
Colonel Martinez and his family have received additional certificates and letters of appreciation, to include those from former Presidents Jimmy Carter, Bill Clinton, and George Bush, and Texas Governor Greg Abbott, and they are on display on a table at the front of the room for review after the ceremony. Ladies and gentlemen, we will now have a special flag folding ceremony in honor of Colonel Martinez's retirement. The detail will be under the command of Cadet Lieutenant Colonel Kato Martinez.
Oh, ho. Detail. Hold. Ready, step.
Colonel Martinez, could you please come forward, sir? Colonel Martinez, please come forward, sir. For more than 200 years, the American flag has been a symbol of our nation's unity, as well as a source of pride and inspiration for millions of citizens. Born on June 14, 1777, the Second Continental Congress determined that the flag of the United States be 13 stripes, alternating between 7 red and 6 white, and that the Union be 13 stars, white in a blue field, representing a new constellation. Between 1777 and 1960, the shape and design of the flag evolved into the flag that's presented before you today. The 13 horizontal stripes represent the original 13 colonies, while the stars represent the 50 states of the Union. The colors of the flag are symbolic as well. Red symbolizes hardness and valor. White signifies purity and innocence, and the blue represents vigilance, perseverance, and justice. Traditionally a symbol of liberty, the American flag has carried the message of freedom and inspired Americans both at home and abroad. In 1814, Francis Scott Key was so moved at seeing the stars and stripes waving after the British shelling of Baltimore's Fort McHenry that he wrote the words to the Star-Spangled Banner. In 1892, the flag inspired Francis Bellamy to write the Pledge of Allegiance, our most famous flag salute and patriotic oath. In July 1969, the American flag was flown in space when Neil Armstrong planted it on the surface of the moon. Today, our flag flies on constellations of Air Force satellites that circle our globe, and on the fin flash of our aircraft in harm's way in every corner of the world. Indeed, it flies in the heart of every airman who serves our great nation. The sun never sets on our U.S. Air Force, nor on the flag we so proudly cherish. Since 1776, no generation of Americans has been spared the responsibility of defending freedom. Today's airmen remain committed to preserving the freedom that others won for us for generations to come. By displaying the flag and giving it a distinctive fold, we show respect to the flag and express our gratitude to those individuals who fought and continue to fight for freedom at home and abroad. Since the dawn of the 20th century, airmen have proudly flown the flag in every major conflict on lands and skies around the world. It is their responsibility, our responsibility, to continue to protect and preserve the rights, privileges, and freedoms that we as Americans enjoy today. The United States flag represents who we are. It stands for the freedom we all share and the pride and patriotism we feel in our country. We cherish its legacy as a beacon of hope to one and all. Long may it wave.
Oh, hey. Detail. Hold. Oh, hey!
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is my privilege to present to you Colonel Kato Martinez, United States Air Force, retired.
Thank you, everyone, for this. I apologize. I have been a mess this whole time. I haven't slept all night, and I was trying to figure out how I'm going to be able to get through this. Retirement ceremonies are always bittersweet. I think we all know that. I will tell you, before I begin, I'm going to take this opportunity not to go through my career. Most of it's classified anyway. But I want to take this opportunity to thank you all, but also to apologize. As we end this chapter of my life, 30 years of it, and start a new one, I want to start with a clean slate. So before I begin, sir, I can't thank you enough for what you do, for what you have done, and continue to do for all of us, not just for me and my children, but for all of us. Our paths crossed when you were Lieutenant Colonel Goldfein, and you were shot down, and we worked your comms. Ever since then, I have always been inspired to do those things that nobody would want to do or can do, to help others, save lives. Sir, you have saved this family. You have exemplified leadership, and you have shown all of us what it means to be an Air Force family. Thank you. General Webb, General Wegerman, General Schwedo, General Smith, I have been blessed with your leadership. It's been a privilege, it's been an honor to have both served for you and with you. Again, words will never be enough. All I can say is thank you. Ma'am, thank you as well. Before I forget, Ms. Goldfein, thank you as well. I'm so full of emotions, and I'm trying to get through this, right? I have this piece of paper. Normally, I'm standing in the middle. I don't usually stand behind a podium. Some of you know. Thank you for what you have done for spouses, for families as well. You represent all of us. I went to a retirement ceremony a few weeks back. Went to several retirement ceremonies. And the truth is, the reason I go to them is because I want to pick out what's good, what's bad, right? I mean, I don't even know these people, but I just roll up. And I went to one where General Webb was a presiding officer, and I'm like, man, that's a long one. I ain't gonna do that one. But I will say that there were some things that I learned that I really liked. And there was one young man, his name is Crash. He went and decided to thank those in chronological order. And I was like, that's a great idea. And so I'm gonna do that. I'm not gonna go through my career and thank everyone that's been a part of me, but I wanna tell you, there's certain people that stand out. Ladies and gentlemen, I stand here today not because of myself or what I've done. I stand here today because of all of you. That's a fact. That is the reality. I am here because of you. I represent all that you have contributed to me, all that you have made a difference in me. My mistakes, my fault, that's on me. But my successes, my achievements, my rank is because of you. And I can't thank you enough. So let's go back for a moment. Let's go back to when I was a young boy growing up in Corona, Queens. I know my buddies back in Corona. They're online right now. Oh, thank you. Oh, that's awesome. Okay, that's even better, right? To my buddies, Chiwai, Frankie, Jorge, thank you for taking a little skinny Filipino kid and teaching him how to fight, teaching him how to play ball, because I would never have survived New York without it. I'm here today because of that, right? And God knows we got into a lot of fights. I mean, we started like UFC back in the day in the backyard. I got a little dip in my head for that. Forgive me again for referring to a piece of paper because my mind is all jacked up. Stuyvesant High School. At the time, it was the #1 science and engineering high school in the country. I don't know how I got in. They must have had a minority quota or something. But I got into this school, and I just want to call out certain people that were there. David DeLeva, Cappy Hamuli, Diana Lucci. Thank you for keeping me in line and helping me graduate. Because obviously if I didn't graduate, I wouldn't be here. Fast forward, Brooks Air Force Base. I got really emotional when someone showed up today because I didn't expect her to show up. But my first supervisor, a young A1C, sitting in the 4th row, Major retired Diane Limlin, showed up out of nowhere. And I cried because it's because of her I went to school and she kept me in line. I got another buddy of mine sitting there, Leo, one of the boys I hung out with that kept me in line as well. I want to shout out to Keith, Barry, Fives, and Chief Master Sergeant Dominic. Chief Master Sergeant Dominic retired, took a young kid, young senior airman, A1C, with a big chip on his shoulder, and literally kicked his ass. I remember walking into the gym one day, and he asked me if I knew how to fight. Hell yeah, absolutely. You want to roll? Let's go. So of course, we go into the handball court back in the gym, and I execute this really beautiful flying kick, side kick. I'm in midair posing, if you can imagine that. And this guy kicked me in the nuts. Kicked me in the nuts, sent me flying across the room. And I'm like, is that legal? And he goes, son, in Louisiana, Texas, and Oklahoma? Yes, it is. Welcome to Texas. For 2 years, I fought with this man. I fought on his team, got my ass kicked every tournament. And finally, it finally clicked on me, it finally dawned on me, I finally broke the code, and I started winning. And because of this young man, this man, Chief Master Sergeant Dominic, I was ranked #1 in 3 different states. And because of him, I'm here today. Who would have thought? Then Tech Sergeant Dominic, and now he's the Chief Master Sergeant retired. Fast forward to Aviano, General Goldfein, my brother, Swede, Colonel retired Eric Grinstrom, my first mentor in the Air Force. I met him at Keesler, at BCOT. He was assigned to me, go figure, as one of our mentors and sponsors. And he asked me, hey, where are you going to go to, what's your next assignment? I said, I'm going to Aviano. He goes, Aviano? Oh, you're going to be working for me. Oh, okay, cool. We get to Aviano, we get radios, and he goes, you know what? Yeah, I don't like Mel. That don't sound good on the radio. You're going to be my Kato. And I'm like, what's that mean? Kato? Yeah, I'm the Green Hornet. You're my Kato. That's our call signs. Okay, I'll be Kato. Guess I'm Bruce Lee now. And that name stuck ever since. And he was at the birth of my oldest and the birth of my son, both at Aviano and at Fort Belvoir. I know if anything were to happen to me, Swede would take over and take care of the rest. Thank you for being here, brother. It means more than you know. Coop, my brother from Hawaii. We met at AFSOC. Been there ever since. One of those guys that would drive cross country, which he just did this morning. He rolled up from Colorado to be here. I'm like, hey, you know we're live streaming, right? And he's like, nah, I gotta be here in person. I'm like, oh, okay, brother, all good, all good. Thank you for being here, man. Thank you. Bones, if you're out there, if you're listening in, thank you. Bones and his family, he and I graduated from UTSA together, and our paths intersected throughout our careers. He took me in with his family. His dad is a retired chief, and I can't tell you how much that means to me and my kids. Thank you for always being there. To my sock pack brothers and teammates, Admiral Pybus, General Cambria, Aaron, and all my brothers, thank you. Thank you for the opportunity to serve with you and to do some crazy missions. My dragons at the 644th Combat Comm Squadron, thank you for trusting in me and believing that we could be better, that we can do things that you could never dream of. All I can say is thank you. My family from the Netherlands. This is the tough part. Now it's gonna get real tough. Crash, Brent Connor, Mumbles, Colonel Fenton, General Smith. You don't really know how close you are to a team until you get hit. And when you get hit, and you wake up in the hospital, and they're there, man. I will tell you that when I woke up after getting hit, all I wanted to do was die. I mean, I'm covered up, head to toe, bandaged up, left leg just barely hanging on, gunshot wound in there. I'm burns all over, shrapnel all over. And I just wanted to go because as far as I knew at the time, my kids were gone as well. There was no reason for me to keep going. And I just asked him, let me go. And he chose. Brent Connor was like, no, I'm not gonna let you go, brother. Because your 4 kids are still in the hospital. They're in the same floor. And I talk about this in my presentation. But how does that work? All of us were separated. All of us were brought from different places, and they all happened to be in the same floor that I was. We didn't know until my team from the Netherlands found out. We were all in separate rooms, and they all connected the dots and brought us all together. To say thank you seems kind of insufficient, not enough. But what can I say? I owe you my children's lives. Thank you. AFW2. What do you say about a unit that all they care about, all they do, their sole purpose in life is to care for others, is to care for our airmen? What do you say? Without you, you have given me purpose. I haven't always been the best teammate. And I wanted to say this real fast, but I'll do this later on. Thank you for what you do, not just for me. Thank you for what you do for everyone. Every airman that is broken, you have given them purpose, love, and kindness. What else did I say? Know that you are loved in return, and know that your purpose in this world is amazing. Thank you, Marsha, Scott, Tristan, all you guys. Thank you so much. And then everyone else in virtual land that's part of AFW2, thank you. The next person I'm going to talk about, I'm going to get beat up on, I already know, but she deserves recognition. For the last 5 years, I've not been in a good place. I will tell you right now, last March, I was ready to take myself out. In fact, I was very close to it. But if it wasn't for Bernadette Gast and Doc Kaiser to check me into the hospital, I would not be here today. Bern, I'm sorry for all the hurt, pain I put you through. You don't deserve that. No one does. But thank you for your strength. Thank you for your love, your support, and your kindness through all these years. You deserve way better than me. Doc Kaiser, from the CFI, Dr. Marion, and the staff from the CFI, thank you for teaching me how to walk again and showing me some purpose. Thank you for my children. Thank you for teaching them how to walk. To the team, to the staff, and Building Homes for Heroes, thank you for the home and the love and kindness that you gave us so that my wife could live on in a home that she will always be in. I wanted to start this speech, and I apologize if I seem like I'm rambling. I'm almost done. I wanted to start the speech by apologizing to you all. I haven't always been the best teammate, best airman, best leader, best commander, best friend. And I owe you all an apology for that. When you're always caught up in things that's not really important, you realize that there are more important things, like family, your friends. And I want to apologize. So this is the hard part now. Mom, thank you. There were some tough times growing up, but I'll never forget as General Goldfein said, my first experience in a firefight at 12 years old. Yeah, that's crazy. You know, you don't expect to see that. You don't expect to see that in New York City, but let alone Beirut, Lebanon. So thank you for that experience. You know, when you see tracer rounds going back and forth, east and west, you're like, holy smokes, where the hell, this is supposed to be Christmas. But when you're in the war zone, they don't respect that. I got my first beret from a peacekeeper, and that's when I knew this is what I gotta do. However I can to make this world a better place. You did that. Just trying to follow what you did. Grandma, Mommy, thank you so much for being there and being the strong one and raising a knucklehead like me. 100 years old, you know, and here she is. Mom and Dad, if you're watching this, Angelo, Jerry, Gilda, Junior, I'm sorry I couldn't bring her home. I'm sorry I failed her and I couldn't protect her. I can't change the past. All I can do is try to make it better and finish the job that she started. I hope that one day you'll forgive me. But thank you for your love and support, regardless, in spite of that. Kimo, Kiani, Noelani, Kalani. I'm sorry that the better parent died that day. It's okay. It's true. But all I can do is finish what Mama started. My mission now is to help you be the people that she always thought you could be. And that's what I would try to do. Baby, we're here. Here we are, 30 years. There was a story I told General Goldfein about Gail. I really wouldn't be here if it wasn't for her. And I'll give you the perfect example. I go to field training, and it happens between junior and senior year, and it's at Lackland. Last year, I promise, this is it. I'm sitting in the parking lot in our beat-up Galant, Mitsubishi Galant. It was hers, not mine. I had a Civic. And so she had a beat-up Galant. I'm sitting in the passenger seat. We roll up to the squadron, and I'm hesitating. I see the TIs, the reserve TIs, ripping into the students. I'm like, oh, hell no. Not this again. And she goes, what are you doing? Why aren't you out the door already? I mean, just cold, right? And she goes, I said, baby, I don't know if I can do this. She goes, what do you mean you can't do this? I said, no, you don't understand. This is the same building, same squadron that I went to basic training through. And she looked at me like, and she don't understand the trauma that I went through the first time, right? Like, I want to go through this again? And she goes, and sir, forgive me for, man, oh, hell no. Get up. You better go. You've been working too hard for this. I said, okay, baby, I'll do it. Grab my ruck, walk out. Now, mind you, I wasn't aware that I was wearing my Kelly Air Force Base leadership shirt. Maybe it was subconscious, right? I didn't know. So I walk up and I'm like, yeah, whatever. I'm doing this. Right? Got the limp and everything. Just being cocky. Senior Airman Tech Sergeant, Senior Airman TI walls up to me. Short dude. I could barely see him underneath the rib. He's looking at me, he's like, look at my shirt, he goes, "Cadet, what was the last rank you held before you crossed over?" I said, "Staff Sergeant T. He like, walked away. And I looked at my wife, my girlfriend at the time, and she was laughing. And I said, "It's gonna be all right. We're gonna be all right." If it wasn't for her kicking me out of that car that day, and countless other times, watching, holding down the fort, I would not be here today. For any special operator, for anyone who deploys, any combat communicator, you gotta have a strong woman. Anyone who goes out the door, you gotta have a strong woman, strong spouse, because they're the ones that keep it down. When you come home, she never asked what I did. She never asked, "Are you okay?" Because she always knew. And she took care of everything. So baby, we made it. We made it. I hope that one day, and I pray, that you two could forgive me, and that these kids will become the people you always dreamt they will be. Ladies and gentlemen, for those that I missed, saying thank you. I missed y'all. Sergeant Phillips, this young man. I remember you as a lieutenant, now you're a captain, making me feel old. Thank you, the Sanders. You make me feel bad. But I'm proud of you guys. My legacy, and in truth, the legacy of all our leaders, right, is our airmen that we leave behind. Your success is our legacy. Our children is our legacy. That's all I have, folks. I won't keep you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Colonel Martinez. The men and women of the United States Air Force are proud to have served with you and assure you that you will always remain a valuable member of our Air Force family. Ladies and gentlemen, we conclude today's ceremony with the singing of the Air Force song. Lyrics can be found in the back of your programs. Afterwards, please join General Goldfein in congratulating the Martinez family during a receiving line at the front of the room. Thank you for attending either in person or virtually, and have a wonderful Air Force Day.
Off we go to the wild blue yonder, climbing high to the sun. Here they come, zooming to meet our thunder. Adonai, give them the gun, give them the gun. Down we dive, sliding our flames from under. Off with one.